MLS transfer rumours for the 2024 season. Let's get into the first one. Jan Strukers is the first one here. Now, I am going to butcher some names as we go through this, but please forgive me here, right? So this guy currently plays as a striker or as a cam for, they're having a really good season, actually, St. Truden in the Belgium League. And he's only 21 years of age, so he'll be under 23 eligible, obviously. And he's potentially making a move. And you can see here, just before I move on, there's some really nice scores here. He's decisive, capable for sure, and he's got some good AA game as well. But he's been linked to a move to Columbus Crew. Obviously, they've just come off the back of winning the MLS Cup, so they're a very, very solid outfit. And what surprises me a little bit here is the fact that they've already got Matan, Rossi, Hernandez, and Ramirez there to kind of take these four spots. So it's either adding a little bit of depth or potentially, you know, who knows? I haven't heard this, but maybe Hernandez is looking for a way out and to go back to Europe and try his hand there. But as I said, there's no concrete rumours around that at the moment. Now, Rossi's only just joined, so I expect him to stay there. Matin, I expect to stay there as well. And Ramirez is kind of coming towards the end of his career as well, so he stays there. Maybe he just adds that little bit of depth. Maybe that Nancy's looking to kind of change his system a little bit. Who knows? But he would kind of be a perfect fit here to take Matin there and just have Ramirez and Matin coming off the bench and providing that rotation. And that would be a formidable front three from what I've seen of Strukers. But sticking with, and we are going to move pretty quick here, guys. So keep with me. But sticking with it, you can see him here. You can see Gressel down here, right? Let's open him up because he is not renewing at the Columbus Crew. They don't want him, and he's been a little bit of a journeyman playing for DC United, playing for Vancouver, and now for Columbus. I think within the last 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. But I really like him. I'm biased. I only super rare, so I'm really interested to see where he ends up. And I'll be showing this guy a lot throughout this video as well. Big Tom there. He's pretty much the MLS kind of transfer guru. If you're not following this guy, go and follow him because he comes out with all the news here. And there's two clubs that are the front runners for Julian Gressel at the moment. We've got Inter Miami, which we'll come on to, and I'll show you in a bit more detail. But before we do, New England Revolution are in the mix as well, as per Tom. Now, Gressel is a kind of an MLS, almost an MLS veteran, to be honest. He's got one of the best deliveries in the league, and it would be interesting if he does go to the Revs. Apparently, I haven't got this confirmed basically, but apparently he went to college there in New England, and his wife's family are from there or something. So it would be an interesting move. He'd obviously be pairing up with Carlos Hill in terms of either sharing the sets or just taking none of the sets. But I think it's an interesting one because he plays on the right-hand side. Now, we could play right wing back. He could play right back. He could play tucked in from a centre midfield spot as well. He's very, very versatile. And they have got Brandon Bye that's actually out, and they've signed Lima, I think it is, from Austin to come in and fill that gap. But so maybe he goes in there and plays as a centre midfielder and just behind Carlos Hill. But having those two feeding balls through to whoever's going to be running that front line at New England would be a great look for them. But let's talk about where he would fit into Miami. Now, it would be pairing up with an old manager of his, I believe. So that would be good for not only him in terms of getting more minutes because he hasn't got that at Columbus Crew. He's kind of was playing a few games and then got subbed and then didn't even really play too much really through the playoffs. But Yedlin is likely to leave, as is Gregor here. So these two spots, which Gressel could kind of easily fill, potentially going to be vacant. Okay, so he could play right back, but as I said, there are always questions around his defensive capabilities. But this is the spot that I'd really like to see him in for Gregor. Now, Gregor is tipped to go back to Brazil, and with the likes of Sergio Busquets, one of the best ever in this position in terms of centre defensive midfield, just kind of occupying that and allowing Gressel to kind of move forward and to probably move into wider areas, maybe like around here in this spot, and allow Messi to just come in, do whatever he wants to do. Cam, kind of be a false nine. Whatever Messi does is amazing, right? So he can do what he wants. But it will allow Gressel to kind of come out into these wider areas if Messi's tucking in a little bit, and use that right foot of his that's so capable of providing assist after assist after assist. But who could he provide an assist to? This guy. Luis Suarez is tipped to go to Inter Miami. It looked like he almost waved goodbye, sorry, to his old club at the last game. But you can see here what he does at what he done in Brazil. Ridiculous amount of goals scored. He can still score a serious amount of goals, even though he is 36. And to come into this team here and have the likes of Gressel, Messi, I mean, I'm not putting Gressel into the same category of these, but in terms of what he would do for Inter Miami, I believe. But when you've got Messi, Busquets, you've got Jordi Alba there, who's obviously going to be a starter anyway, and then you've got Luis Suarez. Wow, what a side that could actually be. Luis Suarez can still do it, absolutely. And just to show some kind of backup to that, if you search Luis Suarez and Miami in here, you'll see the amount of links, the amount of people that are saying that he's going there. But it's not confirmed yet, I don't believe. But yeah, as I mean, it just keeps going. I mean, look at it. Somebody's even done a little Photoshop there with the shirt on him. So I think it's almost a matter of time before that is confirmed and announced. But let's move on to another amazing delivery of the ball in the MLS. Let's talk about Kai Wagner. Now, he has been tipped to leave the MLS and try his luck in Europe, and he's actually come out and said that he wants to try his luck in Europe. Anyway, but where's he going to be going? Because Philadelphia did put an offer on the table for him, but I don't think he's accepted it yet. And there was a time frame on that as well. And I don't know if that's passed yet or whether it's today, tomorrow. Who knows what's that going to be? But you can see here that he's got a contract until the end of this year. So we're talking about 2 weeks' time or something like that. Where does he go? Does he stay at Philadelphia? Well, Tom seems to think that, if, and this is another rumor, I suppose, and we'll just jump to that now. If Barriel moves, because he's likely to go to Europe as well, he's been linked in the past to Ajax. It would be a great signing for them. I think that he's good enough to kind of make that transition now and try his luck in there. But that left wing back spot will become vacant. Now we know how good Cincinnati have been for the last couple of seasons or a season and a half. And if he slots in here, I think that he keeps with all of these scores, like what he's been doing at Philadelphia Union as well. So Tom seems to think that it'd be like for like fit, which I think it's just goes without saying, it's common sense. But recently, and when was this posted? It was posted 4 days ago. Red Star Belgrade are also interested in Wagner, which is interesting because that means that if you was to go ahead and pick this guy up in Sorare, it would be a risky one, right? Because if he goes to Red Star, then you can't use him. There's no utility. But then if he goes to somewhere like a Cincinnati, he will be as good as what he's been showing here, in my opinion. So it's a really, really interesting one. And whether you take that gamble, totally up to you. Moving on, another defender, Mickey Yamani here. And again, I said that I was going to butcher some names. I'm probably already just butchered that one. So feel free to rip me a new one in the comments. But according to reports in Japan, the LA Galaxy are interested in this 29-year-old right back. Now, if we take a look at all of his scores, he plays for one of the best teams in the Japanese league. He's very, very capable of these hundreds. It's why he's been one of the best defenders out there. And yeah, maybe he wants to move on, try his luck somewhere else. I think it would be a really, really solid pick for LA Galaxy. He would just come straight in here, whether he plays in this position here and just tucks in a little bit, or they move to a back four. They are going through a massive revamp at the moment. With a lot of players leaving, being kind of end of contract, and they are leaving, so they are looking to bring a good few players in and try to push. With Billy Sharp leaving, Douglas Costa leaving there, that I know straight away. So how are they going to fill that front void? Well, again, another post here from Tom saying that they are potentially making a club record bid for the Paraguay international winger Ramon Sosa. So what does he look like? So he plays in the Argentina league. He's got a long contract there, which is quite surprising. So again, that club record probably comes into it because of his contract situation. But he's okay in terms of Sorare. It looks like he can play all across the front line, be that a left attacking midfielder, a striker. And if I keep going here, he played right attacking mid here as well. So going back to what LA Galaxy looks like, I think you can see it because I'm on camera. Yeah. If Billy Sharp goes, obviously we know that Douglas Costa's gone, and they don't kind of sign anybody in these spots. But I think that Sosa would come in here and easily fit one of those if that's what they're looking at. So yeah, it'd be an interesting one because if it's a club record, you're expecting a lot from him, and we know that LA Galaxy in the past have had some great players. So we'll see. We'll see if he comes in. But a big name now, when I say about LA Galaxy having some big players in the past, like Ibrahimovic and Robbie Keane, etc., a big name that could fill that void. Now, there's no concrete links here, so I'm not going to bring up any Twitter or whatever, any Twitter posts from Tom. But Alexandre Lacazette could go out there. Don't know how likely that is. I've just seen a few little kind of posts here and there. Now Leon are not having a good season, but he's only 32. He can still do it in the top leagues in Europe, in my opinion. And that's coming from a Spurs fan, right? As Lacazette is ex Arsenal, but even the game before last, he just smashed in a hat trick. If he goes to the MLS, I think that I think that he'll be fantastic because he has got AA game as well. It just depends who's going to be behind him and supporting him. But with Yamani and with potentially this guy, if he lives up to the hype, who knows? LA Galaxy could be having a absolute storming season next year. But this one is not likely. I just don't see it happening unless there's going to be insane wages. Moving on to another big name who's come to the MLS. It seems like they're attracting everybody now, but is the old, or say old, but his old club was RB Leipzig. But it's Emil Forsberg. Now, this has already been announced. He's already making his way to New York Red Bulls. But who could be joining him? A former teammate of his, which is Peter Gulaxi. Gulaxi. Probably said that wrong as well. But he's probably a bit of a name that people know around Europe. Okay, it's only the last probably season and a half where he has probably got some injuries and then lost his number one spot here. Now, could he be joining Forsberg at the New York Red Bulls? It'd be an interesting one because they've already got Carlos Coronel here. And he's been the number one for a long time. He's a young guy, fairly young for a goalkeeper, 26. So does he move on? Because if Gulatsky comes over, he's definitely not going to want to sit on the bench. So again, there's nothing concrete as such. There's just some rumors trickling around on social media and things like that. It'd be interesting to see whether he makes that Red Bull jump over to the MLS as well. But if he doesn't, then I see him kind of leaving this club because he will want to be number one again. He'll want to be number one. Sorry, again at Hungary for his national team as well. So yeah, one to keep an eye on for sure. Moving on to another big name again in the MLS, and there's no concrete rumors here, but it has come out and said Almeida has come out and said that he wants to leave the MLS. He wants to leave Atlanta and move over to Europe. A World Cup winner at 22 playing in the MLS. Kind of you put them things together at the moment. Yes, the MLS is getting better. Yes, it's drawing bigger names and it's drawing attention from European players and they want to move over there and try their luck. But I think that, in my opinion, Thiago needs to move to Europe and really conquer some things. And from a Sorare standpoint, somewhere like Ajax or Benfica would be amazing for him. We know that they like to put their faith and put trust in younger players, and that would be amazing for him. But I wouldn't put it past a really big club, even like a Man City, someone like that, signing this guy, sending him out on loan, and grafting him into the player that they want for that big side. But it'd be interesting to see. He's still under contract there, so if he does line up in the first game of the season, it will surprise me considering that he's already come out and said that he wants to leave. But who knows? Who knows, right? Moving on to another guy who plays at Atlanta is Miles Robinson. We're back to Tom's tweet here saying that he visited Cincinnati on the first date of free agency because he has he's out of contract, so I don't know if he's officially left Atlanta because there's some weird rules there. They could still kind of negotiate him, but there's two clubs that he could potentially go to, being Cincinnati, which we've already covered. So again, if they have Wagner on that left-hand side, and then they have Miles Robinson joining the Defender of the Year from last year, who plays there, big Matt at the back there as well. They'll be shoring things up defensively. But if he moves to PSV, I think that's a bit of a strange one because yes, he's 26, but I don't see him going in there and starting. So I think there'll be heavy rotation there for him. But I know that in the past he has come out, or I've seen tweets. I don't know him, so whatever. But I've seen tweets, I've seen social media rumors that he does want to kind of eventually move out to Europe, and maybe now's the right time to do that because he's out of contract at Atlanta. So this is kind of what it looks like score wise. He's capable. He's a very capable defender. I think that he's won Defender of the Year before, and there's always kind of regarded as one of the best defenders alongside Walker Zimmerman and people like that. But he had a big injury here, so you can see all these DMPs. And to be honest, looking at his history, he looks like he suffers with a few injuries. So it'd be a touch of a risk, really, whoever signs him. But yeah, I think that he'll be on the move. I don't think that he'll be at Atlanta next year, especially if they let people like Almeida go. Can't even speak. But if Thiago goes, then he might be looking at it and thinking, well, who's going to come in? We need some big names if we're really going to be challenging. You know, maybe now is my time to move on. Brandon Vasquez. So we're back to Cincinnati now. So there have been some rumors that this guy is going to be moving to Brentford. All right, in the Premier League. Now that's a big jump for me, going for from MLS into a Premier League side, and then you're going to be potentially filling a void that Ivan Toney's left. Now he hasn't gone anywhere yet, Ivan Toney, but he is linked to clubs like Spurs and to more so Arsenal. Now, if he goes, Brentford will 100% try and sign a forward. You can clearly see this season that they have missed Ivan Toney up there, especially when he's scoring the best part of 18, 19 goals, whatever it is per season in the Premier League. Now, can this guy do that? I don't know until he's given a go. We know that he scores goals at Cincinnati. He had a good partnership with Brenner before he moved to Europe, and that hasn't worked out great for him in terms of injuries and performances as well. But we'll see. You don't know until you're given a shot, but that is a concrete rumor out there. Vasquez to Brentford. Let's see if that happens. Moving on to Pedro de la Vega. Now this guy is linked to Seattle, and I think they're in negotiations with him. Now I personally don't know anything about this guy. I'm just going by Sorare, looking at a few of his scores. He's got a decent bit of AA game there. He can clearly play as a striker, as a left attacking mid, right attacking mid, a cam. With them losing or letting go of Ladero, obviously a club legend there, they are looking to revamp that front line. They've already got Morris, they've got Roldan, and they've got Rui Diaz, who I think staying for another season, but they are looking to freshen that up. And whether Rusnak goes into that number 10 spot, or maybe this guy comes in and takes it. Who knows? But he's definitely linked to Seattle. I don't even know if he's got any cards on So Rare. It doesn't look like it. But there will be some being minted, obviously, next season if he signs for Seattle Sounders. Now, moving on to another big name in terms of kind of USA football, I suppose, because he's always there or thereabouts on the bench, or I don't know if he started for them. Somebody will be able to tell me, or I'll be able to tell you. Yeah, he's made a few appearances for them, obviously. He's Zach Steffen. Now, he has been a backup goalkeeper at Manchester City for many years. All of these appearances, by the way, are not for Man City. They're for Middlesbrough when he was sent out on loan. But there is talk of this guy going over to Colorado, which is interesting because if we look at Colorado, they've got Yarborough in here who's been their number one for a long period of time. I think mid-season he lost it to Marco Ilic. And if I'm right, Marco Ilic, they signed on a permanent deal, yeah. So originally he was on loan from a club in Belgium, maybe Kortrijk, maybe. But he's signed on a permanent deal. So if they're going to be paying a lot of money for Stefan to come in, then what happens to these guys? I don't know. I mean, Yarba's contract ends at the end of the year, so maybe he goes and then Stefan takes the number one and Ilic takes number two. But then why would Ilic have kind of signed permanently if he's not going to be number one? It's going to be interesting. I believe that Colorado think that their goalkeeper should be one of the highest paid players at the club. So it's one to keep an eye on. It'd be very, very interesting to see what happens with that one. But it'd be certainly be a big signing for Colorado, who do need to make some big signings because they've not had a good time in the last couple of years in the MLS. So there we go, guys. There we go. A lot of rumors that are out there at the moment. There's going to certainly be some more between now and the start of the season, which looks like it's going to be kind of mid to end of February, I believe. It's always interesting to hear who's linked to the MLS as they become better and better and better as a league. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you want to see some more, hit the subscribe button. And as always, I'll see you in the future.